The morning started like any other across Earth until every screen went white. Phones, computers, televisions, even the displays on coffee makers all showed the same thing. A face that was not human stared out from every device. It looked like living crystal, reflecting light in colors that hurt to see. "People of Earth," the voice said in perfect English, though it spoke in every language at once somehow. "We are the Sovereign Accord. For 200,000 years we have maintained peace across this galaxy. You will listen now." Admiral Sarah Chen was in her office at the United Earth Defense Force headquarters when it happened. She grabbed her coffee mug so hard it cracked. Her assistant ran in face pale. "Admiral, they're everywhere. Every frequency. We can't shut them down." Sarah looked at her screen. The crystalline being continued speaking. "Your species has expanded too quickly. You ask questions about regions of space that are forbidden. You disturb the balance we have protected. This ends now." The image changed. Space filled the screen. Ships, thousands of them, surrounded Earth like a metal storm. Sarah felt her stomach drop. She had commanded fleets. She knew what she was looking at. Each of those ships could destroy a city. There were 10,000 of them. "You have 72 hours, the being said. Surrender all weapons. Accept our protection. Become a vassal species under Accord supervision. If you refuse, we will erase humanity from existence." This is not a negotiation. This is mercy. The screens went black. For 3 seconds, Earth was silent. Then the panic began. Sarah ran to the command center. Officers shouted into phones. Screens showed riots starting in Jakarta, New York, Moscow. President James Okonkwo was already on a secure line. "Tell me we have options," he said. Sarah pulled up the fleet roster. Her hands shook slightly. "We have 147 operational warships, Mr. President. They have 10,000. We have 3 colony worlds with minimal defenses. They could wipe us out in an hour." "That's not what I asked, Admiral." Sarah looked at the numbers again. "No, sir, we don't have military options. Not conventional ones." President Okonkwo's face was hard. He had been a soldier once, fought in the colony wars when humanity almost destroyed itself fighting over new worlds. "Get me every military commander, every scientist, and every colony governor. We have 72 hours. I want every single minute used." Across the planet, the Accord's ambassador materialized in the United Nations building. The crystalline being, who called itself Vethkaro, stood before the emergency assembly of Earth's leaders. "You seem distressed," Vethkaro said. Its voice sounded almost curious. "This is standard procedure. 847 species have accepted our protection. All of them resisted at first. All of them eventually understood." A delegate from Brazil stood up, shaking with rage. "You call this protection? This is conquest." "Conquest implies you have something we want," Vethkaro replied. "We do not want your world. We want your compliance. Your species discovered faster than light travel only 23 years ago. Already you have 3 colonies. Already you probe the forbidden zones. If we allow this to continue, you will find things you should not find. You will ask questions that have been answered. The galaxy is stable because we maintain order. What are you hiding?" the Brazilian delegate demanded. Vethkaro's crystalline face showed no emotion. "That is precisely the type of question that cannot be allowed. Surrender, humans. It is painless. You will have food, shelter, peace. We will guide your development. In 10,000 years, perhaps you will be ready for more freedom." "Get out," President Okonkwo said quietly. "Excuse me?" "I said get out." Okonkwo stood. "You'll have our answer in 72 hours. Until then, leave." Vethkaro shimmered and vanished. The assembly erupted in shouting. Deep in a research facility in Japan, Dr. Yuki Tanaka was not watching the news. She was scribbling equations on a whiteboard that covered an entire wall. Her hands moved frantically. "Dr. Tanaka," her assistant said. "Did you see?" "I saw." Yuki didn't stop writing. "Get me every physicist we have. Wake them up if they're sleeping. I need them now." "What are you working on?" "Something crazy." Yuki stepped back from the board. "When I discovered our FTL drive, I used mathematics that didn't fit with established physics. I found shortcuts in space-time that shouldn't exist. What if those shortcuts weren't natural? What if someone built them?" "Built them? Who?" "That's what they don't want us to know." Yuki grabbed her tablet. "If there were shortcuts built into space itself, and if this Accord has been suppressing young species for 200,000 years, what happened to the species that built those shortcuts? Why are there forbidden zones?" Her assistant understood. You think there was someone before the Accord? I think we accidentally rediscovered something they tried to erase, and I think we can use it. In orbit above Earth, Captain Marcus Webb walked through the hangar bay of the experimental warship Defiant. His crew was loading missiles, checking systems, preparing for a fight they couldn't win. "Captain," his first officer said, "what's the plan?" Marcus looked at his ship. It was fast, the fastest humanity had ever built. It used Dr. Tanaka's new FTL equations. "The plan is we don't roll over and die, Commander." "Against 10,000 ships?" "Against 10 million ships." Marcus smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "My grandfather told me a story once," said his grandfather told him, "about Spartans at a place called Thermopylae. 300 soldiers against an army of hundreds of thousands. They knew they'd die. They fought anyway. Made the enemy pay for every inch of ground. How'd it end?" "They all died," Marcus said. "But they gave their people time. Time to prepare. Time to unite. Time to win the war." He put his hand on the hull of his ship. "We've got 3 days to figure out how to make them pay." The first day passed. Across Earth, people reacted in different ways. Some panicked. Some prayed. Some got angry. Admiral Chen coordinated with military leaders worldwide. President Okonkwo met with scientists and strategists. Dr. Tanaka didn't sleep. Her team worked around the clock on something they called Project Prometheus. When Admiral Chen asked what it was, Yuki said, "Either our salvation or our funeral pyre. I'll know in 48 hours. The second day, the Accord gave a demonstration. They fired a single shot at Titan, Saturn's largest moon. The moon simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there. The next, nothing but debris. Riots got worse. Admiral Chen had to deploy troops to maintain order in 12 cities. President Okonkwo addressed the world that evening. He stood at a podium looking tired but unbroken. "I know you're afraid," he said. "I'm afraid too. I'm terrified. But I've been reading our history. Humanity has faced extinction before. Ice ages, plagues, nuclear weapons. We survived because we adapt, we endure. We refuse to give up," he paused. "Some say we should surrender. Live as slaves rather than die free. I understand that position. I do. But I ask you to consider what we'd lose. Not just our freedom, our identity. Everything that makes us human." He looked directly into the camera. "In 72 hours, I'll give the Accord our answer. But know this, whatever we decide together. As one species, one world. That unity is our greatest weapon." The third day arrived. 24 hours remained. Admiral Chen sent encrypted orders to every ship. Dr. Tanaka uploaded files to secure servers. Captain Webb briefed his squadron on a mission that made them all go quiet. In the UN building, President Okonkwo met with his cabinet. The vote was close. 48% wanted to surrender. 52% wanted to fight. "We're committing suicide," the Secretary General said. "Maybe," Okonkwo replied. "Or maybe we're showing the galaxy what humanity means." Admiral Chen, give the order. Operation Last Stand is authorized. The final hour came. The Accord Armada powered weapons. Vethkuro broadcast one last message, humanity. Transmit your surrender or face annihilation. The response came not in words but in actions. Every human warship, all 147 of them, launched from Earth and her colonies. Civilian ships, research vessels, anything that could fly and fight, all rose to meet the Accord fleet. President Okonkwo broadcast on all frequencies, knowing the Accord and the entire galaxy was listening. "You asked for our answer. Here it is, humanity will never kneel. We were born in fire and forged through struggle. If you want our world, come and take it. But know that every human life you take will make you pay for it. We'll fight you in orbit on our moon in the depths of space. And if you burn our world, our colonies will fight on. Our children will fight on. We will haunt you across every star until your empire turns to dust." He paused. "That is humanity's answer." The battle for Earth began. Vethkuro watched the human ships rise from their planet and felt something it had not felt in 3,000 years. Surprise. The crystalline being stood in the command chamber of the Accord flagship, surrounded by holographic displays. The other council members appeared as projections around it. There was Merntha, a being of living metal. Corvesh, whose body was made of compressed dark matter. Thelnara, whose species looked almost human but with skin that shifted colors like oil on water. "They're launching their fleet," Merntha said, its voice like grinding gears. "All of it. This is unprecedented. It's suicide," Corvesh rumbled. Do they not understand mathematics? We outnumber them 68-1. Vethicaro studied the tactical display. They understand. They're doing it anyway. It felt that strange emotion again. Not quite respect. Closer to confusion. In 200,000 years, 847 species have faced our fleets. All of them surrendered after we demonstrated our power. Even the proud ones. Even the warrior cultures. These humans are different? Thilnara asked. Her voice sounded almost concerned. Perhaps they're simply stupid, Corvesh said. It doesn't matter. Destroy their fleet, then we'll discuss surrender terms with whoever is left alive. But Vethicaro hesitated. It accessed the Accord's historical databases. Files on every species they had conquered. Most surrendered immediately. A few dozen fought one battle, lost, then surrendered. 3 species fought to extinction rather than submit. But they were small populations on single worlds. Earth was different. Billions of humans. 3 colony worlds. And they fought each other for centuries before uniting. Every human on that planet knew what war meant. They had lived it. Execute the attack, Vethicaro ordered. But something felt wrong. On Earth, in her underground laboratory, Dr. Yuki Tanaka watched her screens while her fingers flew across keyboards. Around her, 30 other scientists worked frantically. The field generators are in position, her assistant said. All 120 of them positioned around the planet. And the power grid? Holding, barely. We're drawing more electricity than the entire planet used in all of 2300. Yuki nodded. She didn't look away from her calculations. 3 days ago, she had been studying theoretical physics. Now she was building a weapon that might kill everyone on Earth or save them all. Maybe both. Dr. Tanaka, a voice said on her comm. It was Admiral Chen. How confident are you in this? Yuki laughed. It sounded slightly hysterical. Confident? I'm not confident at all, Admiral. I'm guessing. This is all a guess based on mathematics that shouldn't work. Will it protect Earth? It'll do something. Whether that something helps us or tears the planet apart, I'll know in about 2 hours. Yuki finally looked up. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep. But here's what I do know. The math I used for our FTL drive. It assumes there are shortcuts in space. Paths that let you jump from one point to another. Those paths shouldn't exist naturally, meaning someone built them. A long time ago, maybe millions of years ago, and this Accord has been keeping that secret. They don't want younger species to know there was someone before them. Someone more advanced. Admiral Chen was quiet for a moment. The Forbidden Zones. Exactly. I think if we went there, we'd find ruins. Technology. Proof that the Accord isn't the oldest or the strongest. They're just the ones who survived. And your weapon uses this ancient technology? Yuki smiled grimly. Not exactly. I'm weaponizing the shortcuts themselves, turning space into a defense system. If it works, any Accord ship that gets too close to Earth will be torn apart by gravitational shear. If it doesn't work... She didn't finish. If it doesn't work, we die fighting, Admiral Chen said. Better than dying on our knees? Keep working, Doctor. In orbit, Captain Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of the Defiant. His ship was small compared to the Accord vessels, but it was fast. The fastest ship humanity had ever built. Squadron commanders report, he said into his comm. 12 voices responded. 13 ships total in his squadron. All volunteers. All knowing this was likely their last flight. We've analyzed their formation, his tactical officer said. The flagship is in the center, protected by layers of defensive ships. We'd need to go through 300 vessels just to get close. Marcus studied the hologram. The Accord fleet hung in space like a cloud of metal. Organized, disciplined, they'd probably fought this way for thousands of years. They're predictable, Marcus said. Sir, look at their pattern. Perfect spacing. Mathematical precision. They've done this so many times it's automatic. He smiled. We're going to be unpredictable. How? Marcus pulled up the specs for Dr. Tanaka's FTL system. Our drive can jump us across light years. But what if we only jump a few kilometers? Pop in and out of normal space. Make ourselves impossible to target. His tactical officer stared. The calculations would be insane. The power drain would be massive. We could jump into the middle of their ship by accident. Or we could jump into the middle of their ship on purpose. Marcus looked at his crew. Every human ship is equipped with nuclear reactors. If we jump our entire ship into one of theirs, we'd create an explosion equivalent to a fusion bomb. They'd lose a ship. We'd lose a ship. But we're already losing. The bridge went quiet. Finally, his first officer spoke. "That's crazy, Captain." "Yeah." Marcus sat in his command chair. "Pass it along to Admiral Chen. Tell her we've got a tactic they won't expect." On the Accord flagship, Thelnara accessed files she wasn't supposed to see. As a council member, she had high clearance, but what she was looking at now was restricted to the 3 eldest species, the precursor files. Her hands shook as she read. 2 million years ago, there had been another civilization. They spanned the galaxy. They built wonders. They created the shortcuts in space that young species occasionally discovered. They were called the precursors. The Accord destroyed them. It took 50,000 years. A war across every star system. But the Accord won by doing something unthinkable. They poisoned entire regions of space with dark matter weapons. They destroyed 1,000 populated worlds. They committed genocide on a scale that made the human mind numb. And then they hid it. Declared the ruins forbidden zones, erased most records. Maintained order by keeping younger species weak and dependent. Thelnara felt sick. Her species had joined the Accord 15,000 years ago. They'd been told they were maintaining peace, protecting the galaxy from chaos. But this was just another empire built on lies and murder. She looked at the data on Earth. Humanity was discovering the precursor math. They were asking questions. If they went to the forbidden zones, they'd find the truth. The Accord couldn't allow that. So humanity had to die or submit. Thelnara made a decision that would change her life. She created a secure channel and sent a message to Earth, to a scientist named Dr. Yuki Tanaka. "This is Accord Council member Thelnara. What I'm sending you is treason. But you deserve to know what you've discovered. The precursors were real. They built the shortcuts you're using. The Accord killed them. You're not just fighting for your freedom. You're threatening to expose a 2 million-year-old cover-up. I don't know if this helps you. But maybe it explains why they're so desperate to stop you." She attached files, coordinates of precursor ruins, schematics of ancient technology, mathematical proofs that would advance human science by centuries. Then she waited to see if she'd just committed suicide. President Okonkwo stood in the operations center, watching screens show the Accord fleet moving into attack formation. Around him, military officers coordinated humanity's defenses. "All ships are in position," Admiral Chen reported. "Evacuation transports are jumping to the colonies with non-essential personnel." "How many?" "We've evacuated 2 million people. That leaves 7 billion on Earth," Okonkwo nodded. "They'd tried, but there wasn't time or ships to save everyone." "And Dr. Tanaka's device?" "She calls it Prometheus. Says it'll activate in 90 minutes. She also received a transmission from someone in the Accord. Encrypted files. Our people are analyzing them now." "From the Accord?" "That's unexpected. Someone there doesn't agree with this war." Admiral Chen pulled up a file. "Mr. President, what we're about to do, we can't win. Not conventionally. We're buying time. That's all." "Time for what?" "For the galaxy to see. For other species to question. The Accord has ruled for 200,000 years because nobody challenged them. We're challenging them. Even if we lose, that message spreads." Okonkwo thought of his grandfather who'd fought in Earth's world wars, who'd seen millions die, who'd told him that sometimes you fight not because you can win, but because the alternative is worse. "Then we make sure the galaxy watches," he said. "Broadcast everything. Every battle. Every sacrifice. Let them see what happens when you threaten humanity." Far from Earth, on colony worlds, people watched their screens. They saw the Accord fleet. They saw Earth's tiny fleet rising to meet it. Parents held children. Some cried. Some prayed. On Mars Colony, a teacher named Sarah Park turned to her students. They were young, most under 10 years old. "Why are they fighting?" one child asked. "Can't we just do what the aliens want?" Sarah knelt down. "Have you ever been told you can't do something just because someone bigger said so? Even though you knew you were right?" The first shots of the war came from the Accord. 300 ships fired plasma beams at the approaching human fleet. Space lit up like a second sun. Captain Marcus Webb jerked his controls hard right. The Defiant twisted impossibly fast, moving like a fighter jet instead of a warship. The plasma beams missed by meters. He felt his crew get thrown against their restraints. "Jump!" he shouted. The Defiant vanished from normal space and reappeared 3 kilometers away. The Accord ships were still tracking where they'd been. Marcus grinned fiercely. "All ships execute random jump pattern. Don't let them lock on." Across the human fleet, ships began disappearing and reappearing in rapid succession. They popped in and out of existence like fireflies. The Accord's targeting computers couldn't keep up. They were designed to track ships moving normally through space, not vessels that could teleport every few seconds. On the Accord flagship, Beth Caro watched the tactical display with growing alarm. What are they doing? How are they moving like that? They're using their FTL drives for combat, a technician reported, making short jumps instead of long ones. Our weapon systems can't predict their positions. That should be impossible. The energy requirements, the calculations, the risk of jumping into solid matter. They're doing it anyway, Commander. Beth Caro had lived for 3,000 years. It had seen countless battles, but it had never seen anything like this. The humans were fighting like nothing in the historical records. They were using tactics that made no sense, taking risks that should kill them. Adjust targeting protocols, prediction algorithms, fire at where they'll be, not where they are. But the humans weren't predictable. Each ship moved differently. Some jumped forward. Some jumped backward. Some stayed still to fire weapons, then vanished before return fire arrived. The human ship Valiant jumped directly above an Accord cruiser and dropped 3 nuclear missiles before jumping away. The missiles hit. The cruiser exploded. Then the Defiance squadron did something insane. All 13 ships jumped at once, appearing in a sphere formation around an Accord battleship. They fired everything they had. Missiles, railguns, lasers, all from point-blank range. The battleship's shields overloaded. Its hull cracked. Atmosphere vented. Marcus's crew cheered. But there was no time to celebrate. An Accord destroyer locked onto them. He jumped again, feeling his stomach drop as space twisted. On Earth, Admiral Chen watched the battle from her command center. The holographic display showed ships as colored dots, blue for human, red for Accord. There were so many red dots. Status, she demanded. We've destroyed 43 Accord ships. We've lost 18 of ours. The tactical officer's voice was tight. Admiral, the math is brutal. For every 3 of theirs we kill, we lose 1. At this rate, we'll be gone in 2 hours. Chen nodded. She'd known this would happen. Tell all ships to fall back toward Earth. Draw them into the Prometheus field. Admiral, if our ships enter that field, I know. Dr. Tanaka says she can create safe corridors for us. Narrow paths where the distortion is weaker. But the Accord won't know where those paths are. They'll fly into the teeth of it. Orders went out. The human fleet began pulling back. The Accord pursued, sensing victory. 50 Accord ships crossed into the outer edge of Earth's defensive field. Space went wrong around them. The ships began to stretch. Hulls warped. Some ships imploded. Others tore in half. 16 ships died in seconds. The rest of the Accord fleet stopped, suddenly cautious. They've created a defensive perimeter, Beth Caro said. How large is it? Approximately 200,000 kilometers from the planet's surface. Then we'll bombard them from outside the field. Long-range missiles. Kinetic strikes. We don't need to get close. The Accord began launching weapons from a safe distance. Hundreds of missiles streaked toward Earth. Human ships jumped to intercept. The Defiant appeared in the path of 12 missiles and destroyed them with rapid laser fire. Other ships did the same, but there were too many missiles. Some got through. They hit Earth's atmosphere and exploded. Cities felt shockwaves. Buildings collapsed in Tokyo. Fires started in London. President Okonkwo watched from his bunker as casualty reports came in. 200,000 dead in the first 10 minutes. He closed his eyes briefly, then opened them. Admiral Chen, tell our fleet to target their missile ships. Sir, that'll leave other areas undefended. Do it. We can't just defend. We have to attack. The human fleet split into hunter-killer groups. 6 ships, led by Commander Jane Rodriguez in the Hammer, jumped directly into the middle of an Accord missile formation. They fired everything. 9 Accord ships exploded, but return fire caught the Hammer. Its shields failed. Emergency bulkhead sealed, but Rodriguez's ship was venting atmosphere. All hands abandon ship, Rodriguez ordered. Her crew scrambled for escape pods, but Rodriguez stayed on the bridge. She pointed her dying ship at the nearest Accord battleship and pushed the engines to maximum. The Hammer accelerated, trailing debris and fire. This is Commander Rodriguez to all ships. It's been an honor. She activated the intercom one last time. Earth prevails. The Hammer hit the Accord battleship at tremendous speed. Both ships vanished in a nuclear fireball. Across the battle, human crews fell silent for a moment. Then they fought harder. Captain Webb saw what Rodriguez had done. He opened a channel to his squadron. New tactic. If your ship is dying, take one of them with you. Don't give them a free kill. Understood, Captain, 12 voices responded. The Accord realized what the humans were doing. They were using damaged ships as weapons. It was savage, wasteful, completely unpredictable. Thelnara watched from her station on the flagship. She saw human ships that should retreat instead charge forward. She saw crews that could eject instead ram their vessels into Accord formations. They're not fighting to win, she said quietly. They're fighting to make us pay, Corvesh overheard. Then we'll make the price meaningless. Bring in the reinforcements. Crush them with numbers. 5,000 more Accord ships dropped out of FTL. The sky above Earth turned dark with enemy vessels. Admiral Chen saw them appear on her displays. Her face went pale. Dear God. Admiral, we can't fight that many, her tactical officer said. Chen looked at Earth rotating slowly on the main screen. Her home. 7 billion people who were depending on her. She thought about surrendering, calling off the attack, saving the lives of her crews. Then she remembered President Okonkwo's speech. About humanity refusing to kneel. About making the enemy pay for every inch. All ships, she broadcasted. I won't lie to you. We're going to lose this battle, but we're going to make sure the galaxy remembers it. Every ship we kill, every minute we hold, every life we take from them, it all matters. Because when other species see this, they'll know. The Accord can be fought. They can bleed. They can die. We're teaching the galaxy a lesson it won't forget. She paused. I'm proud to serve with you. Earth prevails, Earth prevails. Came back from 129 ships. The battle entered its second hour. Humans were losing 3 ships for every 5 Accord vessels destroyed now. The math was simple and terrible. Dr. Tanaka, still in her lab, pushed the Prometheus field to its limits. I need more power. Redirect everything. Hospitals, homes, factories. Everything to the generators, Doctor. People will die without power. More will die if this field fails. Yuki's hands flew across her controls. Expanding the field radius. Giving our ships more room to operate. The distortion around Earth grew. Now it reached 250,000 kilometers. More Accord ships died trying to approach. But they adapted. They began launching unmanned drones to probe the field, finding weak points, mapping safe paths. Captain Webb saw what they were doing. They're learning. We need to hit them harder. All squadrons reform on me. We're going for their flagship. Captain, that's suicide, his first officer said. Everything we're doing is suicide, Commander. Might as well make it count. 30 human ships gathered. They jumped together, appearing in formation directly toward the Accord flagship. Every weapon fired. The space between them and the flagship filled with fire. Accord defensive ships moved to intercept. Human ships died. The Resolute exploded. The Vengeance lost its engines and spun away. The Dauntless was cut in half, but 13 ships broke through. They surrounded the flagship. On the flagship bridge, alarms screamed. Fethkaro felt something it hadn't felt in millennia. Fear. All power to shields, it ordered. The 13 human ships fired everything. Railgun rounds punched through shields. Missiles exploded against hull plating. Laser batteries carved glowing lines across the flagship's surface. Then Captain Webb did something unexpected. The Defiant jumped to within 10 meters of the flagship's command tower. So close that his ship's shields were touching theirs. This is Captain Marcus Webb of Earth, he broadcasted on all frequencies. You wanted to see humanity beg? Watch this instead. He activated his self-destruct sequence. Captain, no. His crew shouted. Abandon ship now! Webb pushed them toward the escape pods. That's an order. His crew hesitated. Then they ran. Escape pods launched, scattering away from the Defiant. Webb stayed on his bridge. He had 30 seconds before the reactor went critical. He used them to line up one final shot. A railgun slug fired at point-blank range into the flagship's command tower. The round punched through shields and armor. The Accord Council met in emergency session. Not physically, they were scattered across the fleet, but their holographic forms gathered in a virtual chamber. For the first time in 20,000 years, they were arguing. Thelnara has betrayed us, Corvesh rumbled. His dark matter form pulsed with anger. She's transmitted classified files to half the galaxy. Vassal species are questioning their status. 3 member species are demanding investigations. Because we're in the wrong. Thelnara's image stood defiantly. She was under guard on her ship but still had access to this meeting. I've read our full history. The precursor genocide. The species we've enslaved. The lies we've told for 2 million years. This ends now. You've doomed us all, Vethkaro said. Its crystalline body was still cracked from the battle. The order we maintained for millennia is collapsing because of your conscience. It was collapsing anyway. Humanity exposed it. Thelnara looked at each council member. They rediscovered precursor mathematics. They're asking questions we can't answer. We could have welcomed them, shared knowledge, built something new. Instead, we chose genocide. Mernth's metal form shifted. The decision is made. We bring the planet cracker. We end this before other species join humanity's rebellion. A planet cracker? Thelnara's face went pale. You'd destroy an entire world? Kill billions? Have we learned nothing? We've learned that mercy is weakness, Korvesh said. Humanity will be an example. This is what happens when species defy the accord. The vote was called. 3 members voted against using the planet cracker. 9 voted in favor. Thelnara's image flickered and vanished as she was disconnected from the meeting. She was now a prisoner, locked in her quarters, waiting to see if the accord would execute her for treason. On Earth, Admiral Chen received intelligence reports. Her face went gray as she read them. They're bringing in 15,000 more ships, she told President Okonkwo, and something else. Our long-range sensors detect a massive vessel. Energy signature is off the charts. What is it? We don't know. But it's big. 10 times larger than their flagship. And it's moving toward Earth. Dr. Tanaka was called in. She analyzed the data and felt her blood turn cold. It's a planet cracker. A weapon designed to fracture worlds at the core. They're going to destroy Earth. The room went silent. How long? Okonkwo asked quietly. The weapon needs 6 hours to charge once it reaches firing position. It'll be in position in 12 hours. Yuki's hands trembled. My Prometheus field can't stop it. This weapon operates on a completely different principle. It'll drill through the field like it's not there. Can we destroy the weapon? Admiral Chen pulled up tactical data. It's protected by 2,000 ships, and we have 63 operational vessels left. Even if every one of our ships got through, we couldn't do enough damage. Okonkwo stood and walked to the window. Outside, Earth looked peaceful. Blue oceans, white clouds, 7 billion people going about their lives, not knowing they had less than a day left. Evacuate who we can, he said. Every transport, every civilian ship. Get as many people to the colonies as possible. Sir, we can move maybe 5 million in 12 hours. That leaves, I know what it leaves. Okonkwo's voice broke slightly. Do it anyway. Save who we can. Across Earth, the evacuation began. Ships landed in major cities. People crowded aboard, carrying what they could. Families were split up. Children cried. Old people refused to go, giving their spots to the young. In Tokyo, a mother pushed her daughter onto a transport. The girl was 8 years old, screaming for her mother to come too. There's no room, baby, the mother said, forcing a smile. Hugo, be strong. Remember us. The transport doors closed. It lifted off. The mother watched it climb into the sky, then walked home to wait for the end. Similar scenes played out everywhere. In Mumbai, São Paulo, Lagos, Moscow, millions saying goodbye. Most would never see their loved ones again. Admiral Chen watched the evacuation reports. 5 million saved. 7 billion left behind. The math was unbearable. Admiral, her comm officer said. Incoming message. It's from Thelnara. She's sending us coordinates. The message appeared on screen. Thelnara's face was bruised. She'd been beaten but was still defiant. Admiral Chen, I'm transmitting the location of the Accord's command nexus. It's where they coordinate fleet operations. If you could destroy it, their ships would lose coordination. They'd be vulnerable. But it's protected by 800 ships and it's 3 light years from Earth. You'd never make it in time to save your planet. She paused. I'm sorry. I wish I could do more. Chen stared at the coordinates. An impossible mission. They'd lose every ship trying. But if they didn't try, Earth died anyway. She called an emergency meeting of her ship commanders. The ones who were left. 37 captains appeared on holographic displays. I'm going to be honest with you, Chen said. Earth is lost. In 12 hours, the planet cracker fires. We can't stop it. We can't evacuate everyone. Most of humanity will die today. The captains were silent. Some were crying. But we have a choice about how we die. We can stay here defending Earth until the end. Or we can take our remaining ships and hit the Accord where it hurts. We can attack their command nexus. Cripple their fleet coordination. Even if Earth falls, we can give our colonies a chance. Make the Accord pay in a way they'll never forget. Captain Williams of the Retribution spoke first. If we leave Earth, we abandon 7 billion people. Yes, Chen said simply. That's the choice. Stay and die accomplishing nothing. Or leave and maybe, just maybe, make their victory cost more than they can bear. One by one, the captains voted. It wasn't unanimous. 12 wanted to stay. 25 voted to attack the Nexus. Chen felt like she was being torn apart inside. But she gave the order. All ships prepare for FTL jump. We leave in 2 hours. Make your peace with Earth. Say your goodbyes. Captain Elena Vasquez sat in her quarters on the Vengeance 2. She recorded a message to her daughter on Mars colony. Baby girl, by the time you see this, I'll be gone. Earth will be gone. But I need you to know why I'm doing this. I'm fighting so you can grow up free. So you never have to bow to anyone. So you can look at the stars and know your mother stood up to an empire. She wiped tears away. I love you. Earth prevails. She sent the message, then went to her bridge. President Okonkwo addressed Earth one final time. My fellow humans, there's no easy way to say this. The Accord is bringing a weapon that will destroy our planet. We can't stop it. Most of us will die in the next 12 hours. Riots broke out in some cities. Others fell silent. People held each other and cried. Our fleet is leaving, Okonkwo continued. Not because they're abandoning us, but because they're going to make the Accord pay. They're going to cripple the enemy's command structure. They're ensuring our colonies survive, and they're showing the galaxy that humanity fights to the last breath. He smiled sadly. I'm staying here with you. Earth is my home. I won't watch her die from a distance. But know this, our species survives. Our colonies are strong. Our children will remember us. And someday, somehow, they'll make the Accord regret this day. Admiral Chen's fleet jumped to FTL. 63 ships vanished from Earth's orbit. They left behind a planet full of people who knew they had hours to live. Dr. Yuki Tanaka stayed at her post, maintaining the Prometheus field until the end. She couldn't save Earth, but she could make it harder for Accord ships to approach. The planet cracker arrived. It was enormous, bigger than a mountain. It moved slowly into position above Earth. Around it, 15,000 Accord ships formed a protective shell. Inside the planet cracker, Vethkara watched the countdown. 6 hours until the weapon charged. Any sign of humanity's fleet? No, Commander. They've fled. Vethkara felt something like disappointment. They abandoned their homeworld. Perhaps they're not as defiant as I thought. But then long-range sensors detected something. FTL signatures. Multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. Where? Vethkara demanded. Sector 7, near the command nexus. Understanding dawned. No, they wouldn't. That's suicide, but humanity would. Admiral Chen's fleet appeared in normal space 3 light-years from Earth. In front of them loomed the command nexus, a massive space station surrounded by 800 Accord warships. All ships. Chen broadcasted. This is it. The last flight. Make it count. For Earth, for humanity, for everyone who died today. For Earth. 63 captains shouted back. The fleet charged forward. Accord ships moved to intercept. Plasma beams and missiles filled space. The Retribution died in the first minute, taking 2 Accord ships with it. The Fearless lasted 3 minutes, destroying 5 enemy vessels before exploding. Human ships jumped erratically, using Dr. Tanaka's combat technique. They appeared behind Accord formations. They rammed damaged ships into healthy ones. They fought with a desperation that terrified the enemy. Captain Vasquez guided the Vengeance 2 through a storm of fire. Her shields failed. Her engines were hit. But she kept flying, kept shooting. Hull breach on deck 3, her officer shouted. Seal it and keep firing. Elena locked her targeting system on the command nexus. They were close now. Just 300 kilometers. But 50 Accord ships blocked the path. All remaining ships, Admiral Chen commanded. Form up on me. We're going through them. 2 hours remained before the planet cracker fired. On Earth, people gathered in the streets. If they were going to die, they would die together. In Times Square, Central Park, Trafalgar Square, the Champs-Élysées, millions stood looking at the sky. President Okonkwo walked among them in New York. No security detail. No barriers. Just a man among his people. I'm scared, a young girl said to him. She was maybe 6 years old, holding her father's hand. Okonkwo knelt down. Me too, but you know what? We're brave together. All of us. The girl nodded solemnly. In the Accord fleet, chaos reigned. Without the command nexus, ships couldn't coordinate. Local commanders argued about what to do. Some wanted to continue the attack. Others wanted to retreat. Vethacaro tried to restore order, but its flagship was still damaged. Communications were spotty, and then the reports started coming in. Commander, we're detecting FTL signatures. Multiple fleets arriving in the system. Ours or theirs? Unknown. Wait. I'm reading Thelnari ship signatures. And Mern collective vessels. They're positioning themselves between us and Earth. Vethacaro couldn't believe it. The Thelnari are defending humanity? The holographic display showed it clearly. 3,000 Thelnari warships had arrived. They weren't attacking the Accord, but they weren't letting them approach Earth either. Then the Mern collective arrived. 2,000 ships. They took position alongside the Thelnari. Ambassador Krell of the Thelnari broadcast on all frequencies. This massacre ends now. Accord forces, stand down. We've seen the evidence Counselor Thelnara released. We know about the precursors. We know about the lies. We will not be party to genocide. You're committing treason, Vethacaro said. No, Krell replied. We're choosing justice over tyranny. Humanity deserves to live. On Earth, Dr. Tanaka picked up the transmissions. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Other species. They're defending us. President Okonkwo received the update and felt tears on his face. We're not alone, but the crisis wasn't over. Corvesh, commanding a loyalist fleet, moved toward the planet cracker. I don't care who stands in our way. Fire the weapon. The Thelnari fleet moved to intercept. We can't let you do that. Then we'll go through you. 2,000 Accord loyalist ships faced off against 5,000 Thelnari and Mern vessels. Space crackled with tension. One shot and this would explode into a galactic civil war. Then something unexpected happened. More ships arrived. These weren't military vessels. They were civilian ships from 47 different species. Cargo haulers, colony ships, science vessels, anything that could fly. They positioned themselves around Earth. Thousands of ships from across the galaxy forming a human shield around the planet. A voice broadcasted. It belonged to a captain from a species called the Vryn. I'm Captain Tor. My people were conquered by the Accord 600 years ago. We've lived under their rule ever since. When I saw what humanity did, how they fought, it inspired us. If they can stand up to the Accord, so can we. I'm here to protect them. Similar messages came from dozens of species. The Singing Stones, the Crystalline Wanderers, the people of the Deep Dark, all former vassals, all tired of Accord rule. Vethacaro watched the tactical display fill with more and more ships. Its carefully ordered galaxy was falling apart. Commander, a technician said quietly, we're receiving reports from across Accord space. Rebellions on 40 worlds. 3 more species have declared independence. Our supply lines are under attack. Vethacaro realized the truth. They could still fire the planet cracker. They could destroy Earth. But doing so would trigger a war they couldn't win. The Accord's power had always been based on unity and overwhelming force. Now they had neither. Stand down, Vethacaro ordered. Power down the planet cracker. Commander? Corvesh's hologram appeared, furious. We can still win this. No, we can't. Vethcaro's crystalline form seemed dimmer somehow. If we fire, we start a war with half the galaxy. And we'll lose. Humanity has already beaten us. Not with weapons. With their example. The planet cracker powered down. The threat was over. On Earth, people watched the skies as the Accord fleet began withdrawing. Slowly at first, then faster. Ships jumped to FTL and vanished. The Thelnari fleet remained. Ambassador Krell sent a message to Earth. President Okonkwo, it's over. You're safe. Okonkwo couldn't speak for a moment. When he did, his voice was thick with emotion. Thank you. We owe you our lives. No, Krell replied. You showed us what courage looks like. We owe you our freedom. The next days were chaotic. The Accord was collapsing. 4 more member species withdrew from the coalition. Vassal worlds declared independence. The Forbidden Zones were opened, and exploration teams from a dozen species began studying precursor ruins. Dr. Tanaka led one of the first human expeditions. What they found was incredible. Technology millions of years old, still functional. The precursors had been masters of space and time. Their civilization had spanned the galaxy, and the Accord had destroyed them out of fear and jealousy. Thelnara was released from custody when her species withdrew from the Accord. She came to Earth as an ambassador. When she met President Okonkwo, she bowed deeply. "I'm sorry," she said. "Sorry for what my people were part of. Sorry we didn't stand up sooner." "You stood up when it mattered," Okonkwo replied. "That's what counts." The Confederation of Free Worlds was formed 3 months later. 23 species joined initially, including humanity. They wrote a charter based on simple principles: freedom, knowledge sharing, mutual defense, and the belief that all species deserved autonomy. Admiral Sarah Chen became the first Supreme Commander of the Confederation Defense Force. She stood on the bridge of a new flagship, the Constitution II, and looked at the mixed crew. Humans, Thelnari, Mern, Vryn, all working together. 5 months ago, she told them, humanity was alone and facing extinction. Today, we stand with allies across the galaxy. We've proven that tyranny can be resisted, that courage matters, that even the smallest voice can change everything. Earth rebuilt. The casualties were terrible. 4.2 million dead, cities destroyed, infrastructure ruined. But they rebuilt with help from their new allies. Thelnari engineers helped design new orbital stations. Mern scientists shared medical technology that saved thousands. Monuments were erected, one for every person who died. Captain Marcus Webb got a statue in the rebuilt New York. His sacrifice was remembered by billions. Admiral Chen, who lost her entire fleet in the battle, visited the memorial wall often. She would stand there reading names, remembering faces. "We won," she whispered to the wall. "We actually won." Dr. Yuki Tanaka established the Precursor Archives, a library of ancient knowledge open to all species. Scientists from across the galaxy came to study. The technology they found advanced medicine, energy production, and space travel by centuries. One discovery changed everything. The precursors had built a network of stable shortcuts through space. Gates that could connect distant star systems instantly. The Accord had kept them locked and hidden. Now they were reopened. Travel between stars went from weeks to minutes. The galaxy shrank. Communication improved. Trade flourished. And more species joined the Confederation. The Accord still existed but diminished. Only 6 species remained loyal. They controlled maybe 5% of the territory they once ruled. Bethkaro retired, broken by the knowledge that its entire civilization had been built on lies. Some Accord species, like the Thelnari, apologized publicly for their actions. Others retreated into isolation. The galaxy was learning to move past its dark history. 5 years after the war, President Okonkwo stood before the Confederation Assembly. He was older now, grayer. The stress of those terrible days had aged him. "We gather today to remember what happened," he said, "to honor those who died, and to recommit ourselves to the principles they fought for." Behind him, a holographic display showed images from the war. Human ships charging impossible odds. Captain Webb's final flight. Helena Vasquez crashing into the command nexus. Admiral Chen leading the suicide mission that changed everything. "They expected us to plead," Okonkwo continued, "to beg for mercy, to accept slavery to save our lives. Instead, we showed them what humanity means. We don't beg. We don't surrender. We fight for what's right, no matter the cost." He looked at the assembly. Dozens of species represented. But this isn't just humanity's story. It's everyone's story. Every species here was inspired by what we did. Inspired to stand up, to demand freedom, to reject tyranny. The assembly erupted in applause, not just polite clapping. Standing, cheering from dozens of species who'd never met humans until 5 years ago. On Earth, schools taught the history. Children learned about the Accord War, about Captain Webb and Admiral Chen and Dr. Tanaka, about the day humanity almost died but refused to break. A girl named Sarah, named after Admiral Chen, asked her teacher, "Were they scared?" "Terrified," the teacher replied. "But they fought anyway." That's what courage is. Not the absence of fear, but doing what's right despite fear. "I want to be like them," Sarah said. "You can be. Every day you stand up for what's right, you honor their memory." In the rebuilt UN building, a plaque was mounted. It bore President Okonkwo's words from that terrible day. They expected us to plead. Instead, we showed them what it means to be human.